Alright, so welcome back to the cooking show. What's getting ready to happen here now is going to be magic. We're getting ready to make a tomatillo based, which is green or verde and Espanol chili. But instead of using your traditional meat, we're going to use something that is way better and way better for you. Come on in here. What we're looking at are the round steaks of a deer that was shot on November the 2nd in Wyoming. So you can even smell the Wyoming all over this meat. I'm going to cube this up a little bit, and we're going to put some seasoning on it, and then we're going to cook it with some tomatillo and some regular chili seasonings, you know, just some basic stuff like that, and you know, onions and things. And man, we're just going to let it cook, and it's going to be fantastic once it stews down for a while. So let me lay my meat out. I guess you're really not supposed to cut it like this, you know, but with the safety fad that's going around in the world. But I've cut myself before, and I know that I can live, you know, to cut another day. All right, so this is the round steak from the deer that we just cut up a second ago, making it into some smaller pieces for the chili. And now we're just going to season it. All that this seasoning is a kind of a pretty straight up salt, pepper, and red all over, black, white, and red all over. It goes by different names, but it's just essentially equal parts salt, pepper, and there's probably about 1/3 that amount of pure chili powder flakes in there. And this is just to season the meat. We'll let that sit for a while, and in a minute we'll move on over to the pot that's getting hot behind me and do the rest of the chili. All right, so we're moving on to the stage 2 of the chili. We've already got the meat seasoning over there. This is a nice and hot, very hot cast iron pan. Into it, we are going to put our magical cooking ingredient, rendered brisket fat from Thanksgiving. Watch that stuff go. Give it a nice stir. When the oil hits your arm, you want to be careful not to scream on camera in pain. Now we're going to saute these onions in here. Woo! Baby! These are leftover onions from a whole different operation. Put them in too. Why not? That's sizzling. All right, so we're just going to check on our onions here. Oh yeah. The onions are starting to get nice. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw a little bit of salt on them. Not too much, because there's going to be a lot of seasonings and other components. Add a little bit of pepper. Give it another stir, and I'm going to move these off to the side, and I'm going to brown our deer in here at this point. It's just a nice way to get all of those flavors moving together. And then just stir them on in. It'll all cook together. It's been sitting for a little bit, and you can see that we got a nice brown color on the meat. Onions are browning nicely as well, getting a little more translucent. These are roasted tomatillos. They are a really tart kind of flavor, and they add a lot of pizzazz to your chili. Whenever you hear somebody talking about chili verde or a pork verde chili, they're referring to this stuff right here. So it just adds a little bit of tartness to it. But we're not going total verde chili. We are also going to add some regular red tomatoes and kidney beans to it, just for flavor, color, and to fill it out. And while we're on the seasoning, since it's no longer October, we're going to add this Oktoberfest to it as well, just for additional liquid. Nuts of that'll cook out. And while we're in here, let's add some additional chili seasoning to it, a little bit more traditional. And we're just going to give it a stir. Don't overdo it. Let's get these cores out of here. This is the tomatillo that the food processor did not like. So we're gonna let this sit and stew for a little bit. All right, so the chili's been cooking for a while, and it's time to give it a good stir. Make sure nothing's sticking, and also make sure that things are coming together nicely. It's gonna be really steamy here at first. Look at that nice bubble. So there's our kidney beans, our red tomatoes, the onions, and that's that deer from earlier. The tomatillo is colored it a little bit. That's why it's this greenish tint. But what it's doing is it's mostly a flavor. So you'll get a lot more of a tart kind of flavor from the tomatillo. And then we'll deepen that with some additional spices and stuff perhaps. Let's give it a taste though. Here we go. Probably a little bit of salt. Oh shit. Yeah, I need some salt. This is the secret ingredient to our fantastic chili that we're getting ready to pull off of the stove here. It's actually just corn flour is all that it is. So we're gonna add that in there. It'll help to thicken it, and it'll also add a good bit of flavor to the final product. So you just sprinkle it in, and then give it a stir, and it'll help to thicken this little bit of chili. Add a nice flavor, and really round it all out. All right, so the chili's been cooking for a couple of hours now. We've added some other little seasonings along the way, some special things we can't tell you about. And now, there it is. Got a nice color to it. You can see the onions, the beans, the tomatoes. You can see the deer from earlier. Gonna scoop out a little bit into this bowl. Not too much. So it's nice and hot. We're gonna put a little bit of crema on it just to contrast with the flavor. You could use sour cream if you wanted to be standard. But if you want to be cool and you want to be good and you want to eat some fantastic grub, mix some crema in there, and let's see what this stuff turned out to. Always blow it. Turned out good. Turned out good. The deer's really good. Spices are good. Everything turned out fantastic. I really encourage you to make this chili. Good stuff. Just fantastic. Good time of the year to make it too.